Good day everyone, I am Jacqueline S. Napo, and for today's presentation I'll be discussing very interesting topics. So how web services can be used to connect a blockchain based system with a web or mobile application. In this discussion I'll explain what services are and how they work and how they interact with blockchain systems, and also a real world example of how this connection is applied specifically in supply chain management. And of course, lastly, I'll show a simple diagram for it to visualize how the data flows between the user, the web service, and the blockchain network. Okay, so now let's begin. Before we talk about blockchain, we first need to understand web services. So, what is web service? Basically, it is a communication bridge between two applications that might use different technologies. It allows them to exchange information over the internet using a common language. What are those common language? We have the HTTP, XML, and of course the JSON. So most modern web services use API, which define how application interact and share data. So the two common types of web services, as I discussed from the module 1 or the week 1, is the SOAP or the Simple Object Access Protocol, and the second one is the REST, which is the representational state transfer. So here's a simple way to think about it. Okay, so let's have if you have or if you've ever used a mobile app to check the weather or track a delivery, that app is communicating with a web service in the background. So it sends a request to the service, and then the service sends back the response with the data you need. So a web service says acts like a messenger that makes sure data move smoothly between systems. Okay, so now let's move to the second part, which is the blockchain. So, we had discussed the web services. Now we have blockchain. It's a distributed digital ledger that records transactions in secure, transparent, and permanent way. So that is the help of blockchain. It is made up of blocks that are linked or chained together. Hence, the name blockchain. Each block contains a list of transactions, a timestamp, and a cryptographic hash of the previous block, making it impossible to alter records. Okay, that's the importance of blockchain. So one of the advantages of blockchain is the decentralization. So instead, it's verified and shared across multiple computers or nodes. However, here is the challenge of the blockchain. So blockchain networks are not directly accessible to regular web or mobile applications. They use specialized protocols, and interacting with them requires technical steps, which most of the users and systems can't do directly. So that's why we need the web services to act as a bridge to the users facing application and the blockchain network. So now let's put all web services and blockchain together. Okay, so the first one is a user performs an action in the web or mobile app. For example, we had the scanning a product, QR code, or submitting a transaction. So the app sends a request to web service API hosted on a web server. So the web service processes this request and converts it into a blockchain transaction format. So the transaction is then sent to the blockchain network where it is verified and added to a new block. So the blockchain network sends back a response confirming the transaction or providing the requested data. So at last, the web service returns the data to the app and the user sees the result such as verified transaction or product history. So the web service acts like the translator or interpreter between the blockchain and the front end app. So without it, normal users wouldn't be able to communicate with blockchain systems easily because how complex and secure they are. So that is the one of the transactions or connections of web service and blockchain. So to make this more concrete, let's look at a real world example. IBM Food Trust. So the IBM Food Trust is a blockchain-based supply chain platform used by companies such as the Walmart, I guess, and the Nestle. So its goal is to make food supply chains more transparent and trustworthy. So here's how it works with web services. So when a farmer harvests and ships a product like lettuce, they use a web or mobile app to enter the shipment details such as the farm name, date, and the product code. The app sends the data through a web service API which records the transaction on the blockchain. So every participant, like the farmers, transporters, warehouses, and stores, records their data the same way. So each transaction is stored securely on the blockchain, making it traceable and tamper-proof. So later, when a customer buys the product and scans its QR code, the mobile app again connects to the web service, which retrieves all the verified information from the blockchain, showing exactly where the product came from and how it moved through the supply chain. So this system is helps prevent fraud, ensures the food safety of course, and builds consumer trust. So in this example, the web service is the connector that allows regular apps to interact with blockchain technology in a simple and user-friendly way. So now let's visualize how the data move. As you can see, the diagram, the user interacts only with the app interface. And then the web service handles all the heavy communications between the app and the blockchain. And also, we have the blockchain verifies and stores the data securely. So finally, the information flows back to the user in a readable format. And then this cycle continues every time a new transaction is made or record is retrieved. So to conclude our discussion, web services and blockchain may seem like very different technologies, but they complement each other perfectly. So they help each other. Web services make blockchain accessible to users and developers, while blockchain ensures the security, transparency, and trust in the data being shared. So, in many industries, from finance to healthcare to supply chain and digital identity, this combination is already creating a real impact. So, the web service layer simplifies communication while the blockchain layer guarantees the data integrity. So most of us loves to integrate the blockchain for the transparency. For example, in our real life problems such as the flood control and the budget. So That's all for